We're on now. Good evening, everyone. With a quorum of members present and the time having arrived, I'll call the Finance Committee meeting for Wednesday, May 26, 2020 to order. The first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of our last two meetings, May 5th of 2020 and May 13th of 2020, copies of which are in the packets. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Motion by Watson. Is there a second? Second by Herbst. Further discussion or questions? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries. Minutes are approved. Item number 2 is discussion and possible action on terminating the airport ground lease with Patrick and Jean Schlager. We've got information in the packets on this one, and this also has cleared the airport committee. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Martins. Is there a second? Second by Herbst. Further discussion or questions? We have the airport manager with us if there are. Go ahead, Sarah.
So is this a transfer of lease?
Yep, this is a transaction. It's not a transfer of the lease. So what Mr. Walschlager is doing, because he's selling his hangar, that lease has to be terminated, and then the next item on the agenda is the approval of the new lease for the buyer. So that's just the order of operations.
Okay. Any additional questions or comment? If not, with a motion and a second on the floor, members in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries as well. Item number 3 is discussion and possible action on an airport ground lease with Merchant Property Investment, LLC. That is the new lease, as Mr. Schmiel said, with the new buyer of the Walschlager hangar. Is there a motion to approve that lease? Motion by Herbst. Is there a second? Second by Martins. Further discussion or questions? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries as well. Item number 4 is discussion and possible action on Wausau Flying Service utilizing federal CARES funding to relieve Wausau Flying Service of its direct expenses during the stay-at-home order and utilizing the remainder of the CARES funding for use in airport development projects such as a front-end loader or architectural design costs for terminal upgrades. This also, I believe, has gone through the airport committee. And we have the airport manager with us on that as well. Does anyone have questions for him on the appropriation of federal funds to airports? This is funding we've been waiting on for a while. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. So the funding is pretty much, it's already there. We're just deciding on how it should be allocated then within the airport?
That's correct. We have to
Okay.
commit to spending the funds before we can get them. So what we're doing is we're informing the government how we intend to spend that funding.
Okay. And then you want to use portion of the funds for a front-end loader, then is there a significant savings in purchasing the loader versus leasing it, or?
Yes, I believe that our lease on it is about $12,000 a year. That
Okay.
goes straight out the window when we lease one. So this will allow us to purchase the front-end loader at a cheaper price, and depending on who gets the bid to provide that equipment, we may be able to use our lease money from last year towards the purchase of the vehicle. So this is perfect timing. We could use that lease money plus this CARES money to really bring down the cost of the front-end loader.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. Any additional questions for John? If not, with a motion and a second on the floor, then members in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? None are opposed, and that funding is also approved. Item number 5. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Item number 5 is discussion and possible action regarding the April 2020 General Fund Financial Report. You have a copy of the report in the packets. We also have the Assistant Finance Director with us if there's questions on the report specifically. Does anyone have any questions for Bobby on the report? If not, we usually place that report on file. Then we've got item number 6, discussion and possible action regarding liquor license fee reductions due to COVID-19 hardships. And you'll see a narrative that's in the packet. We had talked about this a little bit internally. Some municipalities are reducing liquor license fees to help out businesses that have been closed and had some serious financial hardships to help them get going again. That said, the city of Wausau makes a decent amount of money off those licenses. So I wanted us to talk about it here. And what we have in the packet is an estimation of what the cost would be for a 50% reduction in the Class B beer and liquor licenses. So you'll see what some other cities are doing there. Some have reduced that license fee to statutory minimum. That's even a further bridge than what we've decided to analyze here. But you'll see the 2019 and 2020 estimated collections on those licenses. And we need to make a decision as a committee tonight if we want to either uphold those fees or reduce them. We also have the ability to reduce the fees for the servers. However, I'll point out that part of our discussion was that server licenses are not limited to bars and restaurants. Server licenses are also held by retail clerks who have not been precluded from working. And so the thought was that if we were going to make any adjustment to the license fee, that it should be aid to help the business and not the individual. So, go ahead, Sarah.
So I had a question first. What are the current fees, like, to compare to other municipalities around us? I know how much we get from them, but what are the current fees?
For what license?
For the Class B,
I think what she's saying is, do we know what the other cities charge for the Class B?
well, it looks like 375, 400, isn't
Okay.
that on page?
And that
And it
depends on,
depends on the size of the municipality. The smaller municipalities' fees are lower, but cities about our size are about the same fees that we have.
So would that be in line with like Green Bay?
Hi.
Or,
Yes.
or Weston? Like, are we doing something similar as Weston is?
we're talking about liquor license fees.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was working at my desk and completely, my calendar didn't tell me, hey, you may have someplace to be.
Okay. We placed your monthly report on file
Okay,
because no one had any questions, and then we moved
Perfect.
on to the license fees.
Okay.
So we were talking about a 50% reduction in the Class B to help out the establishment versus the servers, many of whom have worked through the entire process in the retail realm.
okay.
So Sarah's question was, where do we stack up compared to other municipalities in revenue generated by the Class B? And Mary said, well, it really depends on how many licenses you have, based on,
I guess my
Go ahead.
question was like, I know, it looks like the revenue generated is here. I just want to know what the actual fees are. Are they in line
Oh.
with like Green Bay? Are they in
I-
line with Weston?
Right, I think what, in just hearing the last part, I think if you compare to us to some of the bigger communities, I think for a Class B, it's like $600, right? So I think you would find us comparable to communities like Green Bay. I think Weston is comparable to us. But when you get into smaller communities, that's when they're going more in line with the minimum.
Because like on page, just curious, on page 48, I think, no, 50, it has that table, that schedule that says the fees, like the regular fees and the revised fees. So ours is like 600, that's our regular fee.
Yes.
And then our revised fee would be like half of that, if that's
300, right.
300.
Yep.
And so Weston, is that sort of in line? Because I don't see Weston's regular fee on that table.
I could quick look that up for you, because I know they publish their fee schedule. I didn't bring my phone with me.
and they did take theirs to 50% also.
We could look that up pretty quick.
Okay.
And it seems like we're pretty high compared to like Green Bay. I guess the reason why I ask is whether or not cutting it 50% would still take enough of the burden off of our restaurants and bars? Or should we try to come down to something more like Weston has, or even Green Bay at $50?
Weston's is $600 also.
So it's the same.
So it's the same, yep.
Okay, so then across, well, really in the metro area, we would be very similar then across the board if we cut ours in half.
Yes.
I mean, we'd be looking at, what did we figure if we did just the Class B was about $22,000, right?
Yes.
In loss. Conversely, it's lost revenue, Can the businesses afford that fee on top of everything else if they've been closed? I think they'd probably appreciate the reduction. Clearly, whenever we reduce revenue, we then have to look at what our cost to continue is going to be in the 2021 budget. So if we forfeit that revenue and that income, just as a frame of reference, $25,000 is 1 cent on the tax rate for the taxpayer. So we're just under 1 cent in lost revenue. So if our cost to continue calls for a, 8-cent rate increase, forfeiting this revenue could make that almost 9 and pass that along to, because what happens is our lost revenue passes on to the taxpayers. So we either have to charge more in tax to make up the difference, or we have to make cuts that are commensurate with the amount that we gave up. So,
And this would be for 2020.
correct.
And I think that's why I had put the April financials before this, so that you could see that, when we look at, what we're hearing from the league is that we won't see any reduction in state aids from the state of Wisconsin for the 2020 budget.
Okay.
That, when we look at our investment income, while the rates have gone down, I think our performance through this far is, along with our conservative budgeting, will meet that. The zoning permits, those are strong still, and so I don't think that we're going to see any major decline in that. So really, the areas in the general fund that we're specifically worried about would be our municipal court fines, and then our room tax, and that's one of the things that we need to put on our agenda. Right now, our agreement, the state law, reads that the city gets to retain a certain level of room tax based on a look back to a prior year. So in our contract with the CVB says the city gets their money first, and then the CVB enjoys room tax in excess of that base amount based on the state law. So if you look in that avenue, we would probably meet our room tax revenues too. Those were the main ones we were concerned with.
Right.
So I guess I don't have any big concerns with allowing a rebate or a discount to the liquor establishments this year.
That certainly makes it an easier decision to make versus next year, when we may have some serious cuts. So if we were going to make a decision that helps them, this is the easier time to make it versus next year's renewal cycle. Assuming that this would drag on, they may need help more than once, but at least this time, we wouldn't be sacrificing as much. What are your thoughts, committee? Do you want to reduce 50%? Mike, go
I
ahead.
got a question. Now, liquor license, they all renew the end of June, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, so we'd be looking at revenue, June 3rd, July 1st through June 30th of next year. But now, and so that would also explain the difference in revenue collected for operators?
Right, so the
So-
operators, we invoice the operators, we send out a renewal notice, and we did not send out our renewal notices as timely as we usually do because of this whole COVID-19 thing. They couldn't really come into the building. We were a little overwhelmed with the elections, and so we didn't send out the invoices. So those just went out, I think, last week. So that's
So we
part of
will
the-
be collecting
We
from them,
will
we just haven't yet.
Yes,
And
that's
what's,
right.
what's the license for an operator?
$110 for 2 years?
For $70 for one, the first one, and
Okay.
they renew for 2 years at 100.
For 110, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's not, well, it's an investment.
Right, but it's not as substantial as the Class B, which helps out the employer on their bottom line, which then hopefully makes it easier for them to meet their overhead with their worker. So, go ahead, Sarah.
So this would be a rebate for the 1920 or the 19 fiscal year, right?
It would be for the 2020 fiscal year. So we're on a calendar year, and because we don't give refunds, we recognize the whole thing in the year that license is issued. So it would be for this calendar year.
Okay, even though they apply for it in June, or
Right.
for July 1
Yes.
fiscal year. Okay.
And the other ones, cigarette, dance hall, amusement device, all of those are not substantial fees to begin with. I mean, they're not going to have as much help unless the Class B is really where they would see the most benefit, I think, if we were going to make an adjustment. to the fees. Go ahead, Sarah.
I had a question, what amusement device was?
Pool table, dartboard, anything like that.
Okay. What are your thoughts, committee? Do you want to reduce the Class B by half, like Weston did? If so, do we have a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Herbst to reduce the Class B,
I would second that.
and a second by Watson to reduce that fee by 50%, to reduce the cost of the renewals for the operators. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed, that motion carries. Thank you.
Sorry again.
It's okay. Let's see, switch back to the agenda. Okay, then we get item number 7, which is discussion and possible, is that Deb? Do we need to pause to get her on, or is she on? Okay.
Can you hear us okay?
I'm here. I
Okay,
think I am.
we can hear you. Hi, Deb.
All right, so you need to put me on mute, and then I just raise my hand? Is that how you work?
Nope, I'm gonna leave you wide open.
Okay,
Okay,
just
all right.
live.
I hope my dog doesn't bark.
Nope, that's okay. Okay, so we're up to number 7, which is discussion and possible action regarding waiving permits for the Man of Honor fundraiser on Saturday, June 13th. And this item also comes to us every year from the Man of Honor Society. They always ask for a waiver of that permit fee. And I think, do we cover that out of promotions or room tax or something, don't we, that Man of Honor permit? So it's an annual request. We've honored it every year historically for their event. Any questions about the event or about the request? Go ahead, Sarah.
Yes, I was just curious, since it's going to be coming up so quickly, and it said anticipating hundreds of people, is there going to be safety measures or anything like that?
Well, I know it's outside at the Eagles Club, out in their big ball field, so it's pretty big open space where they're having it. It's not inside.
Okay. All right. With that, do we have a motion then to approve the permit fee waiver? Motion by Martins, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by
I will
Herbst.
second Deb.
Okay, second by Ryan. Further discussion or questions? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Item number 8 is discussion and possible action regarding a budget modification for Wausau Fire Department's capital projects. And you'll see some information in the packets. One of the things that we had approved for CIP last year for this budget cycle was heart monitors. And in purchasing the heart monitors, and we've got the fire chief and the deputy fire chief with us tonight if there's questions, they were able to take care of the heart monitor purchase, first and foremost, and save some money in the process of that purchase. They would like to repurpose the savings from the purchase of the heart monitors to make some repairs to the basement of Station 3 that flooded during that rapid thaw 2 years ago. They extricated water from the carpet, but the carpet remains really musty smelling down there. They have had the maintenance representative from the city look at that building and determine the cause and a solution so it doesn't keep happening. But they need to remediate that carpet in case there's mildew and mold under it, because there's still a smell in that area. I guess, do you have any questions for the chief or for Deputy Chief Bartek? But if we would allow them to repurpose that funding, they could affect that fix, and they've already got the heart monitor stuff taken care of.
Lisa, I would recommend, I know firsthand about remediation today.
I understand that's the case, yes. Is that a motion to approve their repurposing?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion from Ryan to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Herbst. Further discussion or questions? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? None are opposed. That motion passes unanimously also. That brings us to that was the last item of business on our agenda for tonight. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Martins, is there a second? Second by Watson.
I'll second.
Okay, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No one wants to stay the rest of the night? We're good, we'll stand adjourned, and Common Council will then convene in this chamber at 6:30. Thank you, everyone.